You have to film this. The last one. The very last one. The very last one. I'm not joking. This was not a setup. You gotta come and see this. Can you zoom in on this? That's me. Welcome back to Endangered Stories. A bit of a different Endangered Stories. I feel like I say that every time now, but that's okay because it keeps it interesting for me and hopefully keeps it interesting for you to watch. What I want to do this time is I want to show you a little bit of the process that I take in building my archives library. Here's a pile of newspapers, local newspapers, that have been donated to me. They're not too old, they're about 35 years old or so. They span about maybe 5 years, maybe 4 or 5 years. I'm not entirely sure, I haven't been through it yet. So the challenge is to digitize these without getting too distracted by the articles that are in them and maybe get it done before the sun goes down. It's about 2:30 right now, it's winter, so that means I have about 45 seconds left before the sun goes down. So I'm going to take you along on this journey with me. You're going to watch. I'm going to explain to you why these are so important. And let's just get this thing started. 20 minutes? What do you think? 25 minutes?
Okay.
Here's how I got this massive pile of treasures. A guy named Frederic Serre, who used to work at the Chronicle, within the time span of these newspapers, so the late 80s to the early mid 90s, he messaged me on Facebook and said, I have a ton of newspapers, Chronicle, and I want to give them to you. So gladly I said, oh my God, yes, bring them. These are, why did you keep these copies?
So at the time when I was working for them, I would keep the news section of each issue and I'd have it on my desk at the office. And after a while it would pile up. And then when I got fired, I took the stack with me.
You got fired or
yeah, I got fired.
Or let go?
I got let go firmly.
It was a hard letting go. Now, this pile might seem a little excessive and you might be thinking, do you really need that many? Well, absolutely yes, I need that many. If you're looking at a particular time in history, let's say something happened during 1 week in 1967. You're not just gonna look at that 1 week. You're gonna wanna go back 3 weeks before, 3 months, a year, 2 years before, leading up to this week, and then the same thing after the fact. There's ripple effects that lead up to it, and then ripple effects as the consequence of it. And that's where you find the story, usually. And maybe there's something even more interesting that happened leading up to it. For me, and for you, but mostly for me. Is this chronological order?
Not really.
Okay,
They used to be.
So I can pick one out. All right, so here comes actually, I think the most fun part of this entire process. So I'm not looking for anything in particular. This is not the time to look for something. I'm not digging. I don't have a date. I don't have a year in mind. All I have to do here is put these newspapers in chronological order, and I'm doing it by year. So each of these little piles is a year. The challenge, the biggest challenge, is to not get, you see, there I go. Now I'm reading. I shouldn't be reading. The big challenge right here is to not get stuck on reading any of the articles. Just put them in chronological order, and let's move to the next step. I've got 89, 90, 91, 92, and 94. There isn't a single 93 yet, but there's a lot to go, so I'm out of breath. Let's keep digging.
The Chronicle, at the times we had 3 reporters. Each of us specialized in different things. So Craig McKee would specialize in environment. I covered crime. And we also covered, each of us covered a town, municipality.
Dorval bans skateboards and rollerblades. We're gonna have to figure out what happened there. We found the first 93. And then with a Nichols advertisement in the back. Okay, 93, you're going right here. I found my first 95. And we continue. Okay, so we've got 7 piles now, a span of 7 years, but I've noticed that the 1988 one and the 1995 one are looking a little thin. So that means that Fed probably started in late 88 and then left probably mid 95. Nevertheless, it's fun because scanning through it, I'm realizing how far we've come in certain categories. Look at these people are protesting smoking in McDonald's. like in restaurants. 93.
So at that time, I also did a front page cartoon.
That's you?
Yeah. Paper came out on Wednesday. Called it Wednesday's Whim.
Was it once a week?
Yep.
There's not more than, let's say, 2 in a row that are in order, that are in the same year. Oh.
See, they're sort of in order at this point.
91. Oh man, we're so close to the end. 91. 93.
It's really funny. At the time, we thought, oh, we're just a weekly paper. You know, the aim for everybody was just to end up in the Gazette. Looking back now, realize how good of a paper we were.
Yeah, but the legacy too.
Yeah.
Almost 90% of what I found is because of articles like this.
Yeah.
Why I get excited about getting these newspapers is that there isn't really much about the history of the West Island. In terms of secondary sources, like overall histories of the West Island, there's not really much. So all that I'm left with are primary sources, which is a good thing. As someone who's trying to tell history through stories, you want the primary sources because the primary sources put you right back in that moment in time. A little bit biased, not incredibly 100% objective, but it does help to remove some of the layers that a secondary or a thirdary, if that's even a thing, source might have. You have to film this. The last one. The very last one. The very last one. I'm not joking. This was not a setup. You gotta come and see this. Can you zoom in on this? That's me.
Really?
That's me. That's me when I was in grade 10, the John Rennie High School production of Hamlet Cha Cha Cha. Holy moly, look at this stuff.
Have fun.
Want to keep this box?
No, it's all yours.
It comes with the box. So the next step is to put them in order. And then once they're in chronological order per year, then we can set up for the digitizing. I think they were produced once a week. I think it was once a week. So there should be 52 in each pile, each of the bigger piles. So digitizing all these newspapers and creating a PDF just makes my life a whole lot easier. I want everything at arm's length because when someone brings up something or you read about something that happened maybe in 1972 and it makes you remember something that happened in 1995, and to have that resource right there readily available just helps things go a lot quicker, especially if you're trying to build together this web of narrative that spans 2-3 generations. And that's exactly why I'm taking the time to do this now, so that I can move forward and write these narratives, tell these stories, and essentially, well, you know what? It's just great bathroom reading. I took some testers. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna airdrop the pictures onto the laptop just to make sure that they look good. We want to make sure that it's focused everywhere. See here, it's okay, but we can still read it. And we want to make sure that we can use the pictures, that the pictures are well in focus as well. I think everything looks crisp here. Well, I won't have my hand there when I do it for real. And we can see the date pretty clearly there. All right, let's see. Any guesses on how long this is going to take me? 20 minutes. Okay, so now we're getting close to the final stages of this entire process. This one is pretty self-explanatory. It's simply an old iPhone that I have, or the current one that I have. I prop that up on top of the newspapers. I make sure that it's straight on top. We're seeing that the sky is getting darker, so we have to move it. So the camera is right on top of the newspapers so that there's no angles shifting or anything like that. Each couple of pages is a single picture to give me the max amount of quality possible. Oh, look, my alarm just went off. My alarm just went off. All right, Okay, so that means that every one will take about 40 minutes. Because this was a little longer, about an hour. Okay, so that's step 2. Step 2? Step 3 is done. Now let's take the pictures and let's feed it into the computer and let's make a PDF.
And let's see how the sky is doing.
Oh yeah, it's not completely black yet. And I cut it off here accidentally too. What a pain. Come on! Now, just a quick reminder to subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, and click the like and click the bell so you can get all the notifications when I do release a new video. It helps tell YouTube that you want to see these videos, and it will suggest my videos for other people who are not subscribed to my channel and who do not like my videos yet. Yeah. All right. So now we take this PDF here. We name this 1988, and now when I open it up, we can go and zoom. We can zoom in if we need to read it better. Awesome. All right, on. 88's done. Thank you for watching, and let me know in the comments if you liked watching this kind of like BTS type of thing, to see what I'm doing in the backgrounds, to capture all my information and how I get excited about things in real time. Because I do go out quite often and I collect photos and listen to people talk, and I don't film that stuff. So if you want to see that stuff too, I can start producing those videos as well. So stay tuned next week where we find out why we say the West Island. At least I think that's the next video. Unless I get distracted with something else.